Let's get started.
Let's get started. Wow, wow. Hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I am your host, John Harris. On my left-hand side is my right-hand man, Gabriel.
We got some revolution for Lyonen.
Revelation. Today on the Rock Metal Podcast, we have Lyonen, and they've got a new album called This Is Lyonen, which was released on August 13th. And right now I'm being joined by Tato to share some more information about what the band has got going on, what they've been up to. So Tato, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Joe. I really appreciate this. Actually, I have to say this is my first interview, so I'm very happy with this.
Beautiful. Very interesting, very interesting. I guess my first question then is, what kind of expectations do you have for this kind of interview?
For this interview, well, my expectations are very good because, like I said, this is my first interview, so I want to introduce you my project, to speak to your audience about what Lyonen is, and then what's the plan for the music, what the next steps are in the near future. So it's very good for me to spread my message through you, thanks to you, to your audience.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned spreading the message to my audience, so my audience is now all ears, and they're asking, Tato, tell me, dígame por favor, Tato.
You have some Spanish, very good.
Gracias, señor. What, because the album is called This Is Lyonen, and you wanted to say, what Lyonen is and what my message is. So let's start there. What is Lyonen? Why is this album called This Is Lyonen? And what is that message?
This is a very good question. The idea of Lyonen came up in 2014. I was in London studying there a couple of months. And then after a few years, I'm father of family, very busy, with the work. And they say, I want to do this project. I want to do my musical project. I want to start my music career. And then I said, what is going to be the name? That's a good question. So I want to start with a name. I name it Lyonen. Lyonen is like the image of the lion, okay? And then I'm Leo, and I like the lion stuff. And then I decided to put Lyonen. It was really fast. And then because it has power, it has loyalty, the lion. And then I put the name, and then years later, I took some time to get the right stuff, equipment, buy guitars, buy the equipment, monitors, because my goal was to produce the album by myself. I wanted at least the first album to produce it by myself, and despite the composition of the guitar, I want to make it. And then in 2017, okay, I moved to Maryland. 2016, I moved to Maryland actually. And then I said, well, that's a good time to start writing songs. I had a lot of songs since years ago. So this is the best time to start creating the social media stuff, email, started doing sort of things with the Lyonen project, writing songs. And then finally, I got the initial message I wanted to say in this album was like, I want you to say something about self-confidence. I want to motivate the listeners, like I said with John in the track Lyonen. I want to motivate the people to believe in yourself, okay? To do the things you have to do in life. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Because I remember in my teenager days when I was 16, 14 years old, I wanted to be a musician. And I remember my parents used to say, no, you are not going to be a musician. You're going to live under a bridge if you're a musician. You cannot. You have to be an engineer. You have to be a doctor, And then I started to study computer science, and I said, wow, this is not for me. And then I quit the school. So I found this college for audio engineering there in my hometown, Caracas, Venezuela. And then I said, this is what I'm going to study. I'm going to be audio engineer. If I'm not going to be a musician, I'm going to be audio engineer because I can work with music as well. That's what I did. And then I started working with audio. And then the main message for that is just that, believe in yourself, do whatever you have to do. If you have a dream, just go for it. And that's what I'm doing right now. And the album is called This Is Lyonen because this is like this is what I am, this is what I have for you. Come here, hear my music, you can find a friend, you can listen very old, classic music with a modern touch. Is what he called it, because I like classic heavy metal. In this album particularly, it was designed in that way, classic heavy metal. The second one, I have in mind like 3 albums. Okay, it's gonna be part of like a trilogy or something like that. The first album is gonna be classic. The second one is gonna be more aggressive. And then also the album cover was designed with a little boy facing the castle in front. So everything has a context.
Okay, you mentioned the first one's going to be classic. Next one's going to be aggressive. What's the third one? Do you know?
Yeah, the second one is going to be heavy metal, but it's more aggressive. I will introduce a new tuning in the guitars. I've been composing guitars in C, so much lower. The drums actually are going to change, and then I'm planning to do it with a real drummer in the second one, and the third one is going to be like a mix in between. I will introduce some synthesizer, more keyboards on it, and that's part of the thing I'm planning.
Okay. Now, you mentioned having a real person play the drums. I'm looking at the credits. It does say that you did the drum programming.
Yeah.
But in the music videos, it looks like there are people playing the drums. So I guess maybe take us through, because you said that you self-produced the whole thing, wrote all the songs, did the mixing, did the mastering, but there are some guest musicians. So I guess take us through how you put this whole thing together.
Wow, it was a mess at the beginning, but I wanted to do it this way because everything started during the pandemic, this year. When the craziness started in March, my job was seriously affected because everything was canceled. This is the year I took to start my own business, so I was like this. Wow, what are we doing? So in the middle of the crisis, the first 2 weeks of the lockdown, I said, wow, I have to do something. You know what? I told to my wife, I'm going to make an album. She was, oh yeah, sure, you're going to make an album. You're always recording guitars. I will do it. And then I started planning how to do it. I had a lot of songs, compositions right there on my computer. And then I started to bring all those compositions, put on the table, making a list of songs. Initially, I brought like 30 songs, and then I recorded 15. And then how I'm going to do this? I didn't know where to start in terms of the musician because I was by myself here. I couldn't go to any recording studio nearby. And then I said, well, I will start with programming the drums. And then I started talking with friends. Initially, it was going to be instrumental. And then I started talking with the friends in Mexico, Argentina, and Venezuela. And then, okay, I'm doing this. I show the tracks and they say, wow, it sounds very good. I have a friend, he plays drum, he can help you with a couple of tracks. I called him and then he said, well, I can help you with one track. I sent him one called 2 hours ago. And then he sent me back the drums. My work with the drums was almost done. And then I recorded the bass guitar, the guitars, keyboards. And then I came up with that idea of adding vocals. So I said, wow, I need vocals in this album. So I had months ago looking on the YouTube, finding singers. I had like a pre-selection of cool singers that I liked it. And then from one guy from Brazil, from Italy, from Russia, another guy from the United States. And the last one was the one from the United Kingdom, this Craig Cairns. So I contacted him, we made an arrangement to make this happen. And then he sent me Revelation as a test. The first track was perfect, man. This guy, he did an amazing job. When he got the track, it was, wow, what is this? I said, I have an album. When I got that voice, I put it on the mix. I said, I got an album. So I moved forward with the drums. The drums were programmed. So I finished the entire album like this. But at the end, I was not very happy because I want to play with real musicians, especially the drum. That is my favorite instrument. So the real people you see there is when I distribute the album, I continue to work. I continue my work with the production because I'm producing actually my second album right now. And then I started looking for drummers, okay? And I sent them the tracks of Lyonen. Okay, can you play this to see the reaction of the real drummer with the perspective of the drummer is totally different. I play guitar and I try my best to compose, to create patterns with my keyboard, but a real drummer can add more flavor. to the music. So the guys you see there in those videos is they were playing the music exactly the same. Amazing drummers. The one from Revelation is one from United States. Here is Daniel Gallardo from Los Angeles, and the other one is from France. It's called Sam, and then these guys are amazing. So for the next album, I will record 100% the drums instead of programming. That was the process.
Okay, perfect. Now, you mentioned that a lot of the album is about self-confidence, believing in yourself. If you have a dream, just go for it. Now, is that followed along in a story? Is there a concept album like with a protagonist or a character, somebody who has, say, a revelation and then goes through like a mental or spiritual process throughout the course of the album?
It's kind of, there's no characters in the album, right? But if you see Revelation, it talks like when I wrote that song, I was talking about I was in a very hard situation in my office. I was trapped in office in routine, and the revelation was like, get out of there, break those rules, and then just step out and then do whatever you have to do. And then that's what the line, there is one line that says, the weak men always die. If you are weak in your life, you don't have the courage to do the things, you're practically dead. And then that's what I wrote, those things. And then the second album, the second song, is Lyonen, and I go through a positive message like get the truth, believe in yourself. Even at the end of the album, you will find a message like this is just the beginning of a dream. No matter what they say, be yourself, be brave, stuff like that. It's like a concept, exactly, but there's no character in it.
Okay, perfect. Now, you mentioned that you are writing the next album, and that kind of leads me into my next question, which is, coronavirus came up. You mentioned what you had done so far this year, and traditionally you would be out in some capacity playing shows, doing some kind of a tour or something, but since you can't, is that what you've been doing, working on writing the next album?
Yeah, that is the plan. And Lyonen is only me, because when I came up with this idea, I was traveling 6 years ago. So my recent years, I've been traveling a lot, so I didn't have a specific place to live. I feel unstable. That's the reason I'm doing this by myself. So I came back to Venezuela in 2015. So in 2016, I moved back. I moved to the United States because I got a job here in Washington. And then I said, man, I don't have friends now. I don't have a band here like I used to have in the past, called some dudes, let's do music. So I did it by myself because I'm practically starting a new life. And then I didn't want to stop the goal of making music. So that's the reason why it's only me. But the goal is to find a band, start doing auditions, work with music. In the meantime, while all that process is happening, I'm producing the second album. I'm going to release it the next year because my plan is to try to build a solid career. That's the goal.
Okay. Very, very wonderful stuff. Now, is there anything that you've been doing maybe out of the ordinary to promote the record, since things like shows aren't available? Live streaming or Q&As or anything like that?
So far, no, because I'm kind of new with these social media things. I have Instagram as well. I'm trying to learn how to use properly. Okay, of course, I know how to post it, but I'm looking right now for strategies and people like John. I'm working with him to start promoting this thing because I really don't know how to do it. And then I'm going to make a strategy in the near future to start planning Q&As, start working, because a lot of people is asking me many times things about production because they like the sound of the album, how you do this, with the gear you use, the recording techniques and stuff like that, playing. And then it's a very good question because I'm planning actually to do this. About the live concert here in my studio, I don't have the plan yet, but I've been suggested to do it recently, and I will incorporate for the next year for sure.
Okay, very, very cool stuff. Now that, I believe, concludes all of my questions. We chatted about, I just lost stuff.
Because you're not in your account.
Yeah, I know.
Proper account.
Oh boy. My Google accounts got messed up and all of my questions which are in Google Docs were there. So I'm going to wing it. Everybody's going to hear me winging it right now. So I believe that concludes all of our questions that I had for you. We chatted about the album. This is Lyonen. We chatted about Revelation. We chatted about Lyonen. We chatted about what you've been up to this year, the process, the self-production, where you're headed with the next album. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you were hoping I would ask?
Anything I would like to add? No, I thought you covered all of what we have so far. So what I can tell you is invite your people to listen Lyonen. It's a very good experience, and you will find there. And then put Lyonen alongside your other playlists. There are many good artists out there. I just want to be part of those playlists.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast.
Thanks to you, John. This is my first interview. I won't forget this.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.